If you like this total, it's already moved. All right. You can still find 41s right now. It's going higher. All right. If you like Kansas City, the 2.5s are disappearing. We're already seeing 3s out there. There are still 2.5s available right now. Kansas City 2.5 over 41. Both of those two lines I'm not convinced we're going to be seeing later this week. Last night was 2.5 and 40.5. So we've seen movement. The markets have tilted that direction. We haven't seen the broader move for every book getting pounded yet. I would not be surprised if we do. For Seattle, look, Drew Lock moved the football the whole first half. He did throw a red zone interception, and that's really the only reason that it wasn't a blowout. They still had 16-3 at the break with a missed extra point, but it could have been 24-3 at halftime were it not for that one Lock INT. Jalen Milroe came in the second half, 38 rushing yards, including a 27-yard scramble. That's bet on for a third stringer in preseason. And it's hard to run in August, hard to run consistently in August with the offensive line combinations. Well, Seattle, 32 carries, 170 yards, 5.3 yards per carry, 10 rushing first downs. Those were good numbers. And there's a open competition, not open competition, but there's right guard and center are both still in flux for Seattle. And head coach Mike Macdonald said that the competition will continue this week. So there's extra urgency for this offensive line. Of course, a tie for the Seabags in that game. Mike Macdonald, quote, "You never want to tie a football game. That kind of stinks." As for Kansas City, Mahomes led a 13-yard touchdown drive, 1 for 1 yard after an Arizona turnover with his passing. I would expect to see him more this week. Then Gardner Minshew came in, 2 drives, 1 touchdown. Then Bailey Zappi. Zappi was not good. Threw a couple of picks. Chris Olajuwon, 6 of 13 for 39. He had 2 drives to win the game, with a chance to win the game, and the offense did not work, and they did not come close to field goal range. Worth noting, file away for next year, Andy Reid now 0-3, straight up ATS in preseason openers the last 3 years. And he went 0-3 ATS last year, so it's now an 0-4 ATS run for Reid and company in August. His quote, "There were some good things. I thought the starters played well when they were in. They were sharp. After that, we were too sloppy, too many penalties going backwards." So Reid showing some urgency for this week after a sloppy performance from everyone after the starters last week. That tends to be bet on. And again, we're already seeing that in the markets. The 2.5s, they're becoming 3s. If you like KC, bet it now. Like Las Vegas, again, it's already last night we were seeing in this game, there were 3.5s. It's 6 this morning. I expect it to go to 7 or higher. All right. There was heavy Denver money against San Francisco. +1, it was high as -7, close 6.5 at most books. The 49ers led 9-0 after the first quarter, and then it was a 30-0 Broncos run out. Mac Jones opening touchdown drive, then a 3-and-out, then an interception, then he got benched. Carter Bradley from South Alabama, then Tanner Mordecai from Wisconsin. Neither guy an NFL quarterback. They got 3 quarters worth of playing time last week and didn't produce a point. 3.8 yards per play on offense, 1 of 12 on third downs, and -4 turnovers. Kyle Shanahan, it was frustrating. I liked how we started out, but after that, there wasn't too much to be excited about. We didn't get many first downs, 4 turnovers, 3 picks, the fumble. We made too many mistakes. Shanahan, there's no urgency in winning preseason games. It's not a bet on QB rotation. And San Fran, like another team we're going to talk about later, is a banged up football team. And the 49ers, a team with big goals for this season. When you're banged up in early August, those guys are not going to be on the field against the Raiders. Now, the Raiders are working through different offensive line combinations throughout camp. They had offensive line problems throughout against Seattle. Geno only completed 1 pass. Aston Jonty had -1 rushing yards. They mercifully sat them after 1 drive before they got killed. Aiden O'Connell had a great camp and put him in a real game, and he threw 2 picks, neither of which was pretty. The rookie Cam Miller from North Dakota State actually moved the football well in the fourth quarter. They had 2 touchdown drives in the fourth. And, of course, if you paid attention to the emergency line and betting alerts last week and bet the Raiders right at the get-go, you were able to cash a ticket with the Raiders. The defense got gashed pretty good in that game versus the run, versus the pass, third downs. None of them were pretty. They had a blocked field goal with a chance to win on the final play of the game. Pete Carroll, who's a guy who's interested in winning in August, quote, "We started really poorly. We didn't run the ball well in the first half. We didn't really do anything very well. But we stayed close, and it was an opportunity for us to face that and then come back and see what you do in the second half. And it was a marvelous second half. Carroll always finds positive things to say. That's why his teams love him so much. Let's emergency betting alert this. I have to think there's going to be money come from Chicago, just like we saw. Tyson Bagent and then Case Keenum. That's a bet on 2-0. When you talk about veteran QBs in the NFL, Austin Reed, the third stringer, he was rough. He had 2 drives to win the game and couldn't move the football either time. There was late game shenanigans. We talked about that early. But the quarterback rotation that we like, and it's also worth noting, Dennis Allen was blitzing. We like defense coordinators who blitz. 6 sacks for the Bears. They did have a couple of blown coverages that made it different. The red zone defense wasn't all that good. For Buffalo, they threw the ball all game. Offense at 7.1 yards per play. Mitch Trubisky was good. Mike White was good. Shane Buechele was good. 2 bets with something to prove. McDermott, 11-2 straight up, 10-3 ATS from 2019 through 2023, but 1-2 straight up against the spread last year. This year, 0-1. The game they won last year was 9-3, and Buffalo didn't run the football well last week. I would expect we'll see lots of running the football this week against Chicago. Bears, I expect them to take some money. No surprise here if this line closes 3 or higher. Washington has shown that they didn't give a crap.
Okay.
Worth noting, this line, it's going to say open 3 and still at 3. This line was at 2.5 everywhere last night and is now 3 this morning. So one book might have opened 3. The broader markets open 2.5, and we've seen the broader markets move from 2.5 to 3. We've seen a bunch of over money for this ball game. If you like the over, don't wait. One last emergency betting alert before this line is through. Open 39, before the show is through. Open 39.5. Now we're looking at 41.5. It's a single event game on Monday night after a week of overs. We expect to see even more over money coming in this one. And look, it's probably not going to be my money. All right. The starting offense looked great for Cincinnati. Joe Burrow with 2 first-quarter touchdown drives. That was Cincy starter versus Philly backups. They couldn't run the football. Desmond Ridder showed us again that he's not an NFL quarterback. He did lead a late fourth-quarter starting drive, but he wasn't good. Jake Browning wasn't very good. His interception essentially ended the game, put Philly up by 3 scores. Do not overreact to Cincinnati's defensive struggles like everybody on social media did. Oh, my God, the Bengals defense again. What Cincy did in that game, base defense only, all right? They weren't showing any looks. They weren't showing any blitzes. They had the first-string defense got lit up, but they were just playing base defense. Joe Burrow got extensive preseason action only the second time in his career. We could see more of that this week. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Burrow and how much he's going to play. As for Washington, again, they allowed an opening kickoff return touchdown. Josh Johnson and Sam Hartman were okay. Hartman got the start. He wasn't good. He was outclassed by the Patriots defense. Johnson played the rest of the way. He threw a pick too, but the offense moved the ball, at least with him behind center. Dan Quinn, we talked about it last week, the joint practice sessions. Be aware of what's going on in the joint practice sessions. Last week, Quinn was happy with the Commanders' look in the joint practice session. As a result, he announced he was going to sit 30-plus guys for the game, and that certainly affected Washington's results, both on the field and the point spread. That being said, his quote after Washington 13 penalties compared to 2 for New England, all 3 phases, I thought it was sloppy. They stacked, and that showed sloppiness to me. And then in practice was just the opposite, so that did not make me happy. Perhaps a bit more urgency this week for the Commanders when it comes to the game. But again, if the joint practices are good, I don't think Quinn's going to worry about it all that much.